Hi, it's Jeff Alpin, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours on Tuesdays and Fridays from 1 p.m. Eastern to about 1:30-ish, maybe a little bit longer. I field questions about job search, hiring, management, and leadership. If you want advice about a workplace issue, or a career transition, I field questions about this. So you can put your questions into chat. I'd be very happy to answer them. I'll also remind you that my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us, has a ton available to you in the blog that will without a doubt help. I'll just have that in chat in just a moment. And on the screen as well. So at the site, you can schedule time for a free discovery call, a coaching session, find out about my courses, books, and guides. We've been a little delayed on releasing the new edition of Get Your Job Search Organized Now. We should have that available within the next week or so, certainly by Jan 1, but we've had a slight delay in getting that organized. So my apologies. Also, I'll remind you, my YouTube channel, JobSearchTV.com, again, you can do a search for JobSearchTV and find me there, has thousands of posts, more coming out daily about job search, hiring, management, leadership, a whole host of different things. But the emphasis, as you would imagine from that title, is around job search. And my podcast, No BS Job Search Advice Radio, right before Thanksgiving, the Sunday before, was the 12th anniversary of the show. And I completed a two-part series. Episode 2500 was part one. That took place about a week and a half before. And that was part one of a series on top job search lessons from doing the show. And part two, episode 2510, completed the series. So again, No BS Job Search Advice Radio is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, where it's a video podcast, Amazon Music, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts, we're available. So subscribe to the show, subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, and I'd be very happy to answer. Let me restate that. I'd be very happy to help. Now, while I was away, and my wife and I went up to New Jersey to visit with her family for Thanksgiving. Our son lives in New Jersey. He's a bartender with a restaurant in northern New Jersey, and it was just great seeing him and spending time with him. Just the reality of when you live in different places, you don't always see one another with any regularity. So it was nice to spend time with him. And when I returned, there were a lot of questions waiting for me in my inbox on LinkedIn. So I'll just remind you, if you have questions and you can't attend the show and you're watching on YouTube, for example, or on LinkedIn at a later date, just send me the questions through LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. And that's interesting because I normally have that pre-written out in my program. I'll add it for the next show. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. And what we can do then is the next time I do a show, I'd be very happy to answer your questions. Now, I've got a bunch in my inbox, like I mentioned, and the first question is it bad to apply to many different jobs? Well, I have to dissect this with a couple of variables. Intrinsically, no. You're looking for work. Now, I'm not a big fan of applying to jobs because it's one of the least effective ways of finding work. The most effective way is by using your network of relationships to find work. And the result is, for many folks, They spend a lot of time spamming their resume, uploading it to applicant tracking systems, and doing a whole bunch of stuff that feels pointless. And it is, because for many of you, what you're doing is spamming your resume to computer systems, and you're not getting results because you're applying to things that you'd like to do, but you may not be qualified to do, or your resume doesn't make a case for your candidacy. So, is it bad to apply to many different jobs if you're not qualified? The answer is yes. You're wasting your time and you're wasting their time. If you're qualified for positions and it's at different organizations, by all means, go ahead and do it. If you're applying to different jobs or types of jobs and it's at one specific organization, you can get your resume blocked as a serial applier. There is that capability in a lot of systems where they can block people who are applying much too often. And I remember interviewing someone for my other YouTube, my other podcast, Job Search Radio, which I discontinued several years ago after more than 800 episodes. And he spoke about working at a hospital, and you'd have the person applying for a medically related position and a porter job and other positions that in no way, shape, or form would seem to indicate that they had medical capabilities. So I'll just simply say, don't be ridiculous. If you're qualified and you're interested and available to do that particular job, with that key thing being qualified, not interested, then by all means apply for multiple similar positions at the same organization. If they're completely different positions, don't waste your time or their time. Focus on the ones for which you're actually qualified. Okay. Here we go. Next question. Is it opportunistic to leverage the interest other companies have shown in recruiting you when it's time to negotiate for a raise, even when you plan to stick around anyway? The way you use the term opportunistic is though it's a bad thing. Actually, it's a good thing. Let me give you another word for it. Using leverage to negotiate for more of an increase where you are. Now, here's the bind some of you have if you do this. The bind is, well, frankly, you're signaling you're open to something else if they don't give it to you. And they push you out the door because they're not going to give you more. And you've already said this other firm or these other firms will, which implies that if you don't, they will. And I'm going to go look at them. So I just want you to be aware that there is a potential of an impact. But what you can say is, it seems like the market for what I do is higher than what you're prepared to pay me. Can you do better than what you're proposing here? What do you mean? I'm getting calls from recruiters consistently about higher salaries, but I like working here and I like working for you. But you may have noticed I'm not on the list that Forbes or Fortune put out of wealthiest Americans. So I need to be compensated fairly, and I'd appreciate it if you got closer to, or if not at this number that these recruiting firms have been talking with me about, and that would make me happy. I would be very happy to stay. So that's the way really to play it. And I'll just simply say, don't make threats. Seriously, don't threaten them that I'm going to quit or I'm going to leave unless you do such and such. You may do that, in fact, but you don't have to use it as a weapon in your conversations with people. Okay? So I'm just going to remind you, if you've got a question about job search, hiring, managing and leading better, want advice about a workplace issue, or you're considering a career transition, put it in the chat and I'll get to it. Also, my website, thebiggamehunter.us, is a place where you can schedule time for a free discovery call, a coaching session, find out about my courses, books, and guides. Go to the blog. There's thousands of posts there that'll help you. Also, subscribe to JobSearchTV.com on YouTube. Download it on Amazon. Subscribe to No BS Job Search Advice Radio. You get the idea, right? More questions. Here we go. If someone is interviewing for a job, what does an interviewer think of a candidate who's currently employed but has only had that job for less than a month? I think most firms will want to understand why you're looking for something after less than a month. What's wrong? And thus, what will come down to is the maturity of your answer. Let me give you an example. I hate my boss. She or he is an idiot. And that's not a mature answer. But what you can say is, I was promised or I was told such and such. And that doesn't seem to be the case here. I've spoken with my manager, and they've said things changed since the time we interviewed you and made the offer. So, thus, the concerns you can express are that the position was misrepresented. You don't want to sit there doing work that you don't care for. And thus, don't put yourself in a position where you can wind up getting hurt. Let's see now. Let's go to the next question, okay? Is it rude not to answer why should we hire you question during an interview? I don't think that's the way to go. And I also don't believe that you should immediately answer, why should we hire you? And here's the better way, I think, to do it. Normally, this is a screener who asks the question. I'll deal with a hiring manager in a second if they pose it of you. But if it's a screener, as used to happen in one of my clients, is it rude not to answer? No, you have to give some answer, but not the one that they're hoping for. Because the theory behind the question is you're going to tell them the reasons how they should sell back to you at the time they extend an offer. Why should we hire you? This looks like a great opportunity with a terrific firm. I really like the manager, and the team seems to be terrific. And thus, when they extend the offer, they'll tell you about, this looks like I think this is a great opportunity for you with a terrific manager, a great team of people. You get the idea. So is it rude not to answer? Yes. Is it rude to deflect? Yeah. No, it isn't. It's actually the way to go, and this is the way you play it. So why should we hire you? I don't have enough information to answer that question. So, and this is for the screener. What I'm here to do is have you get to know me, and of course, me get to know you. At this point, all I know is what's written in a job description. I haven't met my future manager. I haven't met the team, don't have a clear idea of what the work is, other than in a job description that, I've heard this guy talk about it in his podcast. Job descriptions may be 80% accurate if most firms are lucky. So, and that's me, by the way. I have interviewed guests who work in HR, and they laugh when I say job descriptions are 80% accurate. If we're lucky, they're 80% accurate, one of them said. So the idea is I need to know more to be able to figure out whether I want you to hire me, whether I'm interested. So can we circle back to this question after I've met with the team, and then I'll tell you exactly why you should hire me. Because The idea is to thread the needle between what's needed and what you can do for them, and then flatter the heck out of them about this great opportunity with a terrific team of people. Have I mentioned we're like family? Oh, I want to work for a family oriented firm that treats people like family. Oh, God. So the long and the short of it is don't fall for their game, because what you do is feeding back to them the reasons why, when they make the offer, they're going to sell you on why you should join. Instead, defer and deflect. That's really the best way to approach it. Okay, this is going to be a multi-screen question, so I apologize. I'm currently in week 4 of the interview process for a job that I really want. I've had the following: one phone interview and one in person interview with the president, a design challenge, and 2 additional in person interviews with department heads. Everything has gone really well, and even received great responses on my follow up thank you emails. I sent a follow up email to the president of the firm on Friday after my Wednesday interviews. I have not heard back. Should I follow up again today? So today is Tuesday. You sent the email on Friday. I'm wondering if this sat in my inbox for a week. So let me just work with you. Had Wednesday interviews, a Friday email, and haven't heard back, and it's now Tuesday. Should you follow up again today? The answer is yes. I wouldn't have done it on Monday. Tuesday is good. So the idea is give a little space. President could be out of the office. They could be doing other things. You are not the A priority on their calendar. You are a high priority, but not the priority. Thus, what you want to do is give them a little space, and then from there, make it clear how you can fit in. Let me back up for a second. Then I follow up by saying, sending another message saying, I messaged you on Friday, haven't heard back. Just want to see if you'd heard anything from my Wednesday interviews, and what next steps in the process might be. That's really the way to do it. Here we go. Another question. This one is a more normal screen. What is the best way to motivate your team at work? I believe the best way to motivate and or inspire a team at work is to get the institutional friction out of their way so they can do great work. Often people join organizations and the issue isn't about you as a manager. It isn't about what's going on in the way of the work. It's that there's friction that no one told someone about that's getting in the way of accomplishing what someone is trying to accomplish. So instead of doing that, clear the friction out of their way so that in this way they can do a great job. You be happy. After all, their success is, well, your success as a manager and your ability to clear a path for your team gets issues out of their way that cause them to not perform at as high a levels as they could otherwise. So the best way to motivate your team at work is to clear out the friction that's getting in their way of doing great work so that they can deliver great results for your organization. How effective are software engineering interviews in determining how good the candidate will turn out? Let me read that again. How effective are software engineering interviews in determining how good the candidate will turn out to be? The answer is they have the knowledge to do the job. They may have the experience to do the job. Your organization may make it harder for them to do the job. I'm going back to my last question there about motivating your team. So the issue comes down to, yes, they can do a good job of figuring out whether someone will be successful in the new role. No question about that. However, there are other factors that come into play that can't be quantified in a written test. And thus, you want to make it easy for people to succeed. Let's go on. Is it risky to accept a great software engineering job in a top tech organization if you think you're a mediocre programmer? Okay. I just wanted to think about that for a second. No, it isn't risky. You may be joining the average part of the firm. So that's a variable too. Is it risky to accept a great job offered in a top tech firm if you think poorly of your capabilities? Well, they think differently. And thus, just be aware that your self assessment may be wrong. And if you really want to join, go ahead and join. If you don't want to join, understand this is a roadblock that's going to get in your way, that's going to keep you from being world class. Thus, you want to be in a place where you can get great results delivered to the firm. And in doing so, what you're able to do is serve your own interests as well. Just did an interview for a job, but a couple of hours after the interview, the recruiter asked me, if I get hired, when can I start? Does that mean something good? Maybe. Most of the time, yes, but maybe not. Now, they want to know when you could start because if they make an offer, they don't want to wait a long period of time for you to join. Catch that one. They don't want to wait a long time for you to join. And something surfaced in your interview that gave them reason for concern. So understand, does it mean something good? Probably. Does it mean something bad? It could, but the probability is, this was a gimme for you. And by that, I mean a signal to you that they're interested. And thus, what you'll be able to do is impress the heck out of someone and deliver great results for them in a timely manner so that everyone's able to get results. We continue on. And then I've got one more question, and then I'll come back. Is it a good idea to say that the current company is not doing well financially to an interviewer, and that is why you want to leave? So there's a lot that shows up in the news, and you can say anything you want. Seriously, really, you can say anything, but the best answer basically says, the reason I'm looking is I'm disappointed with the offer. And thus, I'm starting to explore other things. I'm looking for an organization where I can work hard and get ahead. And thus, I answered a similar question to this a few weeks ago, where the office party was about to go on, and this person didn't want to attend for reasons we don't need to go into. And I coached him to say, I could stay here, but I decided I'm going to leave here. And you want to leave in order to accomplish great things and deliver at a high level. So managers love hearing crap like that and feed it back to them. So I'll just simply say, you can say my company isn't, it has started laying people off. You may have seen a story about them. And thus, is it a good idea to tell them your firm isn't doing well financially? Well, if they know about it already, that's a good sign that they're interested in you and want to see you at your best. Okay. Let's move on. And I'm going to take this question and then close the show, unless one of you puts it in a question into chat. Okay. Oops, sorry, went to the wrong app. How effective are software engineering interviews in determining how good the candidate will turn out to be? I think there are a million question marks in this question. I would just simply say, focus on your strengths. Don't overanalyze your weaknesses. Conduct yourself in a way that's world class, that will cause someone to like you, and go from there. So with that, I'm Jeff Altman. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did and you're watching on YouTube, share it, leave a comment, click the like button, do something that lets people know it was worthwhile. Also, visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us. There's a ton in the blog that can help you. Plus, you can schedule time for a free discovery call, a coaching session. You can visit my blog, which has more than 12,000 searchable posts that you can watch, listen to, or read. And I'll just remind you, my YouTube channel at JobSearchTV.com is a great resource. And what you can do is connect with me on LinkedIn. Follow me on YouTube, linkedin.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. You can subscribe to JobSearch TV on YouTube, download it as an app on Amazon. You can listen to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Play, or wherever you listen to stuff. I hope you have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.